What is going on, everybody? It's Josh. We're here for another episode of Old School Cards. This is episode 26, third episode of the new season titled Hidden Gems, Underrated Rookie Cards, Hall of Famers. We're going to be talking hockey. We're going to be talking hockey cards, and specifically, we're going to be talking about NHL defensemen. Not every great career is matched with a hobby hyped rookie card. Some legendary players have cardboard that's still affordable despite their spot in the Hall of Fame. By the end of this episode, you might just have a new PC target or a smart investment idea. So we're talking NHL defensemen first. NHL defensemen are undervalued in hockey because their contributions are less quantifiable and visible to fans and collectors than those of forwards or even goalies. They have a little bit of a niche market. Because of the position they play, leads to less excitement, speculation, and demand for their cards in the marketplace. Performance is harder to measure and celebrate. While a forward's value is easily tied to statistics like goals, assists, and points, a defenseman's performance is more complex and often tied to statistics that aren't featured on the back of your sports card. Goals and assists are high scoring, exciting events that drive fan enthusiasm, but defensive stats like block shots and takeaways are often overlooked by the casual fan. Defensemen also take a little bit longer to develop into elite players than forwards, and this usually means the young defenseman's career trajectory is more speculative, leading to less hype around their rookie cards because most of the time they don't become really good until after a few years into the league. Defensemen aren't always the funnest thing to watch. The best defensive players are often ones that prevent a scoring chance before it even starts. So, having a good defensive prowess is not easily captured by statistics, making it difficult for collectors to quantify a player's worth. Outside of that, even when you look at goalies, they do have a similar statistical challenge, but their position being so specialized and their direct impact on winning is more apparent. You can remember when a goalie made a great save or blocked a crazy shot that they probably should have went in and that helped them win the game. But you don't usually remember the defenseman who jumps in front of that puck before it even gets to the goalie. So goalie collectors are probably even a little more prominent than NHL defensemen card collectors. Some other things we need to look at are market demand driving popularity. So the value of a sports card is not just about a player's skill, but also their popularity and marketability. Because forwards are celebrated for their goal scoring, they naturally generate more hype and demand among collectors. What are some things to consider with that? Well, highlight reels sell cards. Collectors are drawn to the flashier, offensive minded players who dominate highlight reels, increasing demand for their cards. Even a very talented defenseman may not generate the same level of excitement. One exception to this rule are offensive defensemen, and we'll look at some of them today. There are a few defensemen whose cards are highly collectible, such as Cale Makar, Eric Carlson, Quinn Hughes. Uh, They have exceptional offensive skills who post high point totals. This confirms the market's bias towards players with flashy, offensive driven stats. So that's why we're going to give our NHL defensemen some love. And since we're giving NHL defensemen some love, we are going to talk about the card of the week. And it's 1984 OPG card number 259, Chris Chelios. So let me get up my notes here on Chelios. I pulled all this information from the NHL Hall of Fame website. So this is all going to be very accurate, not just my opinion. He was born in 1962. And an interesting thing about Chelios is he only missed participating in the playoffs two times in his 26-year NHL career. So 24 of the 26 years Chelios played, he missed the postseason, or he made the postseason. Two of those years, he did not make it. He was born in Illinois, but he grew up in Poway, California. The story of Chris Chelios is kind of crazy, and I'm just going to read some of this. After being dropped from his college team, Chelios tried to extend his career in Canada, but twice was cut from junior B teams in the process. He returned to Southern California, where he bulked up, and after a successful season with the Moose Jaw Canucks of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, found himself drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in the 1981 NHL entry draft. He was drafted, and then he went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison Badgers. 81-82, he was selected to join the U.S. team at the World Junior Ice Hockey Championship. And in 83, he was a member of the NCAA Men's Ice Hockey Championship with the Badgers at Wisconsin. He was named to the All-Tournament team. He was the WCHA's second All-Star team along the way. After playing for the U.S. in the 84 Winter Olympics, Chelios debuted with the Montreal Canadiens that summer. He joined the U.S. squad at the 1984 Canada Cup, and in 84-85, he became a full-time member of the Montreal Canadiens. So here we have a 7-year period of his career where he's up, down, getting cut, making teams. Then he finally starts in the fifth year or so, starts getting his legs underneath him, and it took him till 1984 to make a full-time NHL roster. But in his rookie season, he did score 64 points. He was named to the 85 All-Star rookie team and was runner-up to Mario Lemieux in Calder Trophy balloting for Rookie of the Year. And in the playoffs as a rookie, he scored 10 points in 9 games. By his second year in the NHL, he was part of a Stanley Cup championship team when the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Calgary Flames in the Stanley Cup final. He really started to flourish, though, in 1988-89 season. 73 points, first All-Star team in the NHL, and earned his first Norris Trophy as the league's premier defenseman. He was named co-captain of the Canadiens, and uh, he served as a co-captain with Guy Charbonneau. By 1990, though, he was traded along with a second round draft pick to the Chicago Blackhawks. Chelios earned a spot in his first year with the Hawks in the NHL's second All-Star team. They made it to the Stanley Cup final in 92, but they were swept by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he continued his strong play for Chicago. In 92-93, he once again won a Norris Trophy. In March of 1999, Chelios was traded to the Detroit Red Wings for Anders Eriksson and a pair of first-round draft picks. The Wings wanted Chelios' veteran leadership, and they received it. In 2002, he was named again to the NHL's first All-Star team, And that same season, he helped lead the United States to Olympic silver at the 2002 Winter Olympics. He was also named to the tournament's All-Star team. The season ended with the Detroit Red Wings defeating the Carolina Hurricanes for the Stanley Cup. Then the lockout canceled the 04-05 season, and Chelios kind of began his decline. He joined the Detroit Mechanics of the United Hockey League. Along with most NHL players, he returned to the NHL in 05-06. That year, he also captained Team USA's hockey team at the '06 Winter Olympics, a full 22 years after competing in his first Olympics. Here's an interesting thing about Chelios. On January 8th, 2008, at 45 years and 348 days, Chris Chelios became the second oldest player in NHL history, passing Mo Roberts. Only Gordie Howe, who played until he was 52, was older. On April 12th, 2008, he played in his 248th playoff game, breaking the NHL record set by Patrick Waugh. And later that season, he also became the oldest active player to win the Stanley Cup when Detroit defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins. Chris played one final season with the Red Wings in 2008 and 9 and was a finalist for the Masterton Memorial Trophy for Perseverance. After Detroit announced that they would not re-sign him, he signed a tryout contract with the Chicago Wolves of the AHL and then subsequently signed a two-way contract with the Atlanta Thrashers in the NHL. They're now defunct Atlanta Thrashers. They did call upon Chelios for their playoff run, but when that attempt became unsuccessful, he was returned to the Wolves after a 7-game stint in Atlanta. Throughout his 26-year NHL career, Chris Chelios played in 1,651 regular season games, scoring 185 goals, 763 assists, and 948 total points. In 266 playoff games, he added 31 goals and 113 assists for 144 playoff points. In 2011, Chelios was inducted into the United States Hockey Hall of Fame, joining the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2013. He's one of the best players, defensemen, to play the game of hockey. And he had a great career. And let's look at some of those accomplishments. 1,651 games, 185 goals, 763 assists, 948 points for a plus minus in his career of plus 351. He won 3 Stanley Cups, the 85-86, 01-02, and 07-08. He won 3 Norris trophies for being the best defenseman in the NHL, 88-89, 92-93, and 95-96. But what does that all mean for his rookie card? Well, let's look at that 1984 OPG card number 259. There have been 3,327 of those cards graded. 2,422 of those cards have been graded with PSA. PSA 10s, there are only 79, and 483 PSA 9s, giving his card a gem rate of only 3.3%. So usually, really low gem rates translate to much larger card values and higher grades. So let's see if that's the case. In the last year, Chris Chelios's PSA 10 has averaged $1,141. There have only been 6 sales in the last year, and the last sale was June 29th, 2025 for $1,075. PSA 9s average about $145. There have been 28 sold in the last year, and the last sale came on September 29th, 2005 for $200. So with a 3.3% gem rate, one of the best hockey defenseman of all time, Chris Chelios, and a PSA 10 where there's less than 100 only goes for about 1,150 bucks. And this is why we want to shed some light on NHL defensemen. It's a shame that they don't get the hobby love or the hobby hype that everybody else gets. But that doesn't mean that you cannot be like myself. And I personally really enjoy collecting defensemen. And I have several, and the uh it's not usually just the big names. Like I do not own a Kale McCarr Young Guns card, but I do like other guys. And um it is true that if you have some offensive prowess as a defenseman, you can make some headway in the hockey, like McCarr and Quinn Hughes. But we like to highlight everybody. So, one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the fact that Chelios had 948 points in his career. That's a feat that only 13 NHL players in their hockey career, defensemen, have scored over 900 points. So, who are those 900-point defensemen? At number 13 is Scott Stevens with 908. Number 12 is the only player still active on the list, Brent Burns with 910. Number 11, the legendary Bobby Orr with 915 points, which he did that in 657 games. Then here he is, Chris Chelios at number 10, 948 points with a 26-year career. Number 9, Larry Robinson, 958 points. Number 8, Brian Leach, 1,028 points. So there's only been 8 who've scored over 1,000 points. Number 7, Dennis Potvin, 1,052. Number 6, Nicholas Lidstrom, 1,142. An interesting thing to note about Potvin and Lidstrom, they're the only two players on the list who spent their entire career with one NHL team. Potvin did it with the New York Islanders, and Lidstrom, of course, did it with the Detroit Red Wings. Number 5 was Larry Murphy, 1,217 points. Number 4, Phil Housley, 1,232 points. Number 3, Al McInnes, 1,274 points. Number 2, Paul Coffey, 1,531 points. And number 1, Ray Bork, 1,579 points. He's the only defenseman who scored over 400 goals in his career with 410 goals. Ray Bork. Some of those guys are household names: Paul Coffey, Ray Bork, Chelios, Lidstrom, Bobby Orr. And then some of those guys we don't hardly ever hear about. And those guys are the only people who've ever scored 900 points in the NHL as a defenseman. None of their cards outside of Bobby Orr are ridiculously expensive as a rookie. But now, with all the advanced metrics and everything, we get to look at a few things. And one of those things we get to look at off of NHL Network's list of top 20 defensemen right now. I'm going to read this list off to you, and then I want you to decide who are the offensive guys and who are the defensive guys. These are the top 20 defensemen in the NHL right now, according to NHL Network. Coming in at number 20 is Brock Faber of the Minnesota Wild. Moving down to number 19, Lane Hudson of the Montreal Canadiens. Number 18, Mikhail Sergachev of the Utah Mammoth. Number 17, Devin Taves of the Colorado Avalanche. And number 16, Adam Fox of the New York Rangers. Most of those guys you know a little bit about. Lane Hudson does have a little bit of a hobby market, but I could think it could be argued that uh, it's due to him being in Montreal. And those are the first five. So let's look at the next five. Shea Theodore of the Vegas Golden Knights. This one is crazy because he started his career in Anaheim. He was unprotected in the expansion draft, and Vegas took him, and they picked a good one there for sure. Number 14, Thomas Harley of the Dallas Stars. I really enjoy watching him play as a Stars fan. I do have quite a few Thomas Harley rookie cards myself. Another big one is Jake Sanderson of the Ottawa Senators, and one that maybe you've heard about recently just because he's won two Stanley Cups is Gustav Forsling, and he's with the Florida Panthers, but people are saying that he might be one of the best defensive defensemen in all of hockey, and it shows up on this list. I might have even actually had him a little higher. 11, Charlie McAvoy of the Boston Bruins, and number 10, who has a little bit of offensive prowess, is Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers. The problem with Bouchard is that he plays with McDavid and Draisaitl, so I don't know if he gets the defensive um, love that you would think. Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators comes in at number 9. Jacob Slavin, Carolina Hurricanes, at number 8. And then coming in at number 7, Rasmus Dahlin of the Buffalo Sabres. Number 6, Josh Morrissey of the Winnipeg Jets. Number 5, Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 4, Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars. Number 3 is Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who came out real strong last year and started scoring some points, 82 points in 81 games. And then, of course, you have number 2, Quinn Hughes, Vancouver Canucks. Uh, a great defensive player. People are really high on him. And number 1, everybody knows, is Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche. So it's noted that this is the third time in a row that Makar is at the top of the list. He scored 92 points last season and just had another phenomenal year playing up there in Colorado. Those guys, I don't know if you can really argue with this list. These guys are really good, respectively. Um, Gustav Forsling at number 12 is out there winning Stanley Cups, and not very many people know who he is unless they're a Florida Panthers fan. And that's what's crazy about NHL defensemen and hockey card collecting. Everybody wants Makar and Hughes and all of that, but who's going out and getting Forsling cards? And at the end of his career, what's he going to have as far as a card market? And that's where it's kind of crazy. But speaking of careers and seasons, I wanted to look at the Frozen in Time segment of this week's show is Bobby Orr's 1970-71 season, where he set a ton of records. In that season, he played in 78 games. He scored 37 goals, 102 assists for 139 points. He had a plus minus of 124, plus 124. and it's the NHL single season record for any position. It was the first time any defenseman ever had 100 assists in a season. It was unprecedented for a blue liner and signaled a new offensive blueprint for defensemen. If defensemen want to get up on the stat sheet, if they're not going to be scoring too many goals unless they're on a power play unit, but if they get assists, that's where their points totals are going to really be driven from, is their ability to pass the puck to the goal scorers. He set a points record for defensemen. 139 points is uh, still the high mark for a defenseman in a season, and he had a dominant two-way impact. So his plus minus of plus 124 shows that he didn't just create offense. He drove play, suppressed opponent chances, and nobody has come close to that since. The combination of elite offense and game control was rare. So, what awards did he win that year? Bobby Orr won the Hart Trophy, the MVP of the league in 70-71. He also won the Art Ross Trophy, finishing second in the league in scoring to Phil Esposito, who also happened to be on his team. How did it end for Bobby Orr in the 70-71 season? Well, they made it all the way to the quarterfinals, but got beat by the Montreal Canadiens 4-3 in Game 7. There was a guy in net for the Montreal Canadiens by the name of Ken Dryden, who was emerging as Montreal's netminder, and his career was just starting to take off. So Orr's season is often read as the moment the offensive defenseman became a league-changing role. He regularly joined on the rush, quarterback power plays, and finished plays with a scorer's touch, forcing coaches and opponents to rethink matchups and neutral zone coverages. The sheer volume of assists underlines his role as a playmaker from the back end, a defenseman acting as a primary playmaker for a high-flying forward core can make all the difference in a cup contending team. So the 70-71 season cemented Orr's identity not just as the best defenseman of his era, but as a player who redefined how defensemen could impact the scoreboard and control games. From that year, the stat lines from that year are still used as shorthand for his revolutionary blend of offense and defensive dominance. So that's the 70-71 Bobby Orr am- am- amazing season. We just saw Cale Makar score 92 points, so he's 40 points behind, and he's considered the best defenseman in hockey 3 years running. And Bobby Orr put up 40 points more than that. That's pretty crazy. And I think it should be celebrated when defensemen have high assist numbers. 102 is a crazy number. Now, uh, the last couple things I wanted to talk about were um, some upcoming hockey card releases since the season starts today, October 7th, 2025. And this is a hockey card podcast. So, what do we have to look forward to? The two I flagged, and there's only one I'm really going to talk about, is 25-26 Upper Deck Series 1. It's coming out next week on October 15th, 2025. It's being released. And 25-26 Upper Deck Black Diamond being released in November, early November. November 12th is the scheduled release date for 2025. But since this is a hockey card podcast, there are a few things with these releases that I wanted to talk about. I did some homework and I wanted to share with you guys. I do like collecting Young Guns, and so we're going to talk about Series 1. But The other thing I have found is that I really enjoy collecting inserts and short print inserts. So these are some things to look for coming with the Series 1 release. There is an insert called Bootlegs, and this insert is going to be found in 1,440 hobby, e-pack, and hanger packs, or one in 2,880 blaster starters and tins. The checklist is small, 18 cards, and it includes three rookies: Ivan Demidov of Montreal, Ryan Leonard of Washington, and Artem Leshchinov of the Blackhawks. But out of the 18 cards, the big four are in there: Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, and Ovechkin. So that's seven of the 18 card list right there. If you want to check out the checklist, go to hockeychecklist.com. It's a great website that's being utilized and developed constantly by the guys at Hockey Cards Gong Show. They're putting out great stuff there, and it's great content for the hockey card collector. The other thing that's been a big hit recently is the retro Young Guns Outburst. Since the Outburst technology has not been around all that long, this year there's five cards that are getting their Outburst retro. It's Alex Ovechkin, Steven Stamkos, Igor Shesterkin, Zach Hyman, and Charlie McAvoy. Only five cards on the retro checklist for Outbursts. But here's the thing. The Silver Outburst is going to be one in 2,880 hobby or e-pack packs, one in 4,320 hanger packs, or one in 8,640 blaster starters or tins. So big pack odds there. It's going to take a lot of packs to get some of those to come out. So even a silver outburst is going to be super rare. And then, of course, you have the red outbursts, which are out of 25, and the gold outbursts, which are one of ones. And all it is an overlay of their Young Guns card, but with the outburst background. So something to collect. I'll probably be looking to get the Ovechkin silver outburst. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but um, got to have something pretty cool out of the all-time leading goal scorer in the NHL. And before I ask this question, I want to talk about one other thing: the living set that Upper Deck introduced in their Series 1 product, also known as holotypes. So if you got in on holotypes last year early, you might have got some steals of a deal, because people didn't realize, I think, how rare they are, or the fact that it was going to be a living set. I don't think people paid too much attention to that. But just like last year, their first series, they had 30 cards, and this year, first series has 30 cards. One in 504 hobby e-pack or hangers, or one in 1,008 blaster starter or 10 packs. It's a lot of packs to be able to pull a holotype, and there's 30. You got a 1 in 30 chance of pulling some people. Uh, some of the big names on the list this year: Quinn Hughes, Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, and Miro Heiskanen. And this being a living set, you're not going to get the same players every year. So, like last year, it was Leon Draisaitl. This year, uh, Leon Draisaitl. People are calling him the ultimate passenger, but I actually think he would be a great. I think he's going to be somebody's Mikko Rantanen to the Dallas Stars. He's going to come into his own. Um, but yeah, this year it's Connor McDavid, so I'm sure those are going to go through the roof with people having a little bit of understanding of holotypes being rare. But there's three really nice inserts that have super low pull rates. So if you see them and they're good prices, don't be afraid to jump on them early, because I have a feeling that the prices are only going to go up as the product becomes more and more rare. And here's the question I want to pose to the listeners this week. Please email me your responses. Old School Cards 24. Old School Cards, the numbers 24 at gmail.com. And last year, I did a big thing where we followed Ovechkin and the goal chase. And this year could be Ovechkin's final year in the NHL. So I'm going to try to watch him as much as possible just to get those memories in my bank that I can look back on and be like, man, I got to watch that guy play. And I want you guys to tell me. So I say all that to say this. Here's my question. The season's starting. We're getting off fresh. I'm pretty sure Ovechkin's going to easily hit the 900 goal mark. He's going to be the first guy ever to score 900 goals in the NHL. But my question is, where do you think he's going to finish? How many goals, if this is Ovechkin's last season, how many goals is he going to score and what's the record going to be? I don't know. He may keep playing. He may, try to keep going and keep racking up those goal totals, but is he going to score 15 goals this year, or is he going to score 50 goals and put that record up around 945 himself? I don't know, but that's why I'm asking you guys. So please email me your responses. I want to read them. I want to talk about them. I want to have conversation with you. How many goals is Alex Ovechkin going to finish his career with, especially if this is his last season in the NHL? What do you think is a number for him? 20 goals, 25, 30, 35, 40? I mean, we saw last year he's more than capable of stringing them together pretty quick. So that's what I want to end the show with. I'm so glad that hockey season is here. I am looking forward to watching the triple header tonight on ESPN. The three games on opening night. My Stars don't play and for another couple days. Uh, my daughter's a huge Ducks fan, so she should be getting pretty good here in the next couple weeks with hockey season getting underway. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup, guys? I don't know if it's going to be Carolina or not Carolina. The Panthers. I don't know if it's going to be Florida. I don't know if they're going to three-peat. They got all these injuries, lots of injuries this year in the preseason. Kind of crazy. Who's going to win the cup? Email me, oldschoolcards24 at gmail.com. The biggest question, though, who is going or how many goals is Alex Ovechkin going to finish his career with, and what's going to be the new mark that somebody's going to have to chase? And do you think, I honestly don't think anybody's ever going to touch this goal record. I don't think it's going to happen. Do you think it'll happen? 900 goals, never been done in the history of the NHL. Goaltenders are getting better. Defensemen, we talked all about them today. They're getting much better. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think anybody will ever come close. I don't think it'll ever be done again. Not in my lifetime. I don't see it. What do you guys think? Let me know. Love you guys. Keep collecting what you love, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in to episode 26 of Old School Cards Hockey Card Podcast.